Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the continuation of the sorcery playthrough. I've decided that today I'm gonna finish part one. I'm not gonna stop until I do. I don't think it'll take that long. I know that part one is not actually super long, but just to not waste any more time, let's get into it right now. And also, this time I have water, so I'm not gonna run out of my voice. You wake up early and sit for a moment, in no great hurry to leave the village. This is now the third day of your journey, and the muscles in your legs are feeling lean and strong from so much walking. You spend a short while enjoying the peace, the unhurriedly, then unhurriedly collect your possessions and set off along the path. I've already made a mistake in reading. Cristanti is surrounded by several miles of fields. It sits in a well-protected ring of hills and is close enough to the river to be reasonably prosperous. As you follow the path between lines of sun-baked crops, you come back to a fork in the road. The right-hand way leads past a set of outbuildings. The left-hand way leads directly into deep woodland. Okay. I don't want to go to a place called Dumpus, so let's go to the ruins of a village. You glimpse a few people at work by the buildings. There will be precious little company on your journey, so you should take it while you can. Approaching a low wall, you see a blind beggar, sheltering in the shade, with his hands held outstretched. He hears you approach and clicks his fingers. Alms, would you? For love of Sindala, alms? Throw him a coin. Why did why did my god turn into tiny gorilla? You place a coin in his outstretched hand. You are kind, traveler, the beggar says. He feels over the surface of the coin, then bites down it. Why me? This is a gold piece. You are too generous to a poor, sightless beggar. You'll get me killed if anyone knows that I have it. The beggar beams up at you. Look after yourself, you say, preparing to walk away. Wait, he calls. One moment, please. He begins to scramble around, feeling over his body as if looking for holes. Eventually he cries, "Ah!" and then pulls out a copper key which he holds out to you. What is that? You ask cautiously. Years ago, I lived in Kare, he explains. Kare was my home, and in the city port I watched over prisoners in the Gal. Beware the red eyes in Kare, or my fate will befall you, and you'll be here with me, begging for a living. What are the red eyes? Pray you never find out. Is his simple reply. Listen to me. Kare is wary of strangers, but this key will help you if you become captured by red eyes. Trust old me. As the old man talks, you step quickly out of the road. As an ox cart whips past you, raising dust. It does not stop. Take the key. You take the key and put it safely in your backpack. Thank you, you say, then move on. You follow the path away from the village for half the morning. Then the walk is easy. It feels as natural as breathing to have the road move beneath your feet. Hard to believe you trained for this journey so long, now that you're on it. You climb a little, tracing the side of a group of trees until you meet a fork in the road. You could continue straight on upwards or turn west a little. Um, Straight on up. I want to go to the ruins. Come on. You continue along the path, climbing, your legs feeling strong and lean. By the end of this journey, you'll be built like a mountain goat. The afternoon progresses, long and easy. This place you are walking through seems thick with desolation, as if it was long ago abandoned. And then, as if to confirm your thought, you come across two enormous stone pillars listing slightly either side of the road. They form a gate, but the gate is 3 times larger than the height of a man. Look them over. Peering closely, you make out the faded remains of carved characters. In the old script L and K, the remnant of a spell of fortune, perhaps? Or the binding for those now fallen stones. Go through. There's nothing for it but to go forward. Okay. Through the gate. Step into the shadow of the enormous gate. The ruins of walls line the path either side, but these are walls built from blocks the size of ox carts. Centuries ago, this must have been a place of a king 12 feet tall. Now it has been leveled, and the stones stolen for the field walls and foundations of the villages all around. Yeah, I'll investigate the ruins. This place looks cool. There must be something funny. You take a moment to clamber out over the ruins and off the path until you are surrounded by waist-high grass. The grass rises and falls sharply around the outlines of houses and buildings. You trace the line of a street, wide enough to run 3 carts abreast, that leads quickly downhill towards a forest. Once this place was rich and plentiful. Whatever happened here to remove every last trace of these colossal people? Let's look inside the house. Stop by the edge of a house. The side wall only stands as high as your knees. Grass nods above it. Looking inside, you can make out the edges of the fireplace, the back wall, and the adjoining area. Perhaps a grain store or a bedroom? Search in the grass. Take a few moments to search through the long grasses and find nothing, until your hand closes on a clay pot near one wall. It is the shape of a wine jug, but about 3 times the usual size. Around the neck is a red stain. Wine, or maybe blood. It's impossible to tell. The base of the pot has been smashed away, perhaps by age, perhaps by someone unhappy with the contents. You leave the pot behind. Just follow the street. You follow the line of the street down the slope of the hill. The farther you go from the path, the more overgrown the ruins become, until you can barely make out the outlines at all. After a while, you're not following the street at all, but simply holding to the same line you approached. The same line. You approach the edge of a thick woodland. No, I'm just gonna walk through this one. The path crosses over a low, broken wall and then rises sharply uphill through a pass. After a while, you see 2 cave mouths, one to the left of the path and the other to the right. Okay. 2 cave mouths. You know, always gotta go right. That's what I say. It's the right way. You pause at the mouth of the first cave and look inside. There's a faint whistling sound. The wind, perhaps? Investigate. Let's go, probably. Creep farther in. Then a few steps on, you stumble and fall. As you do, the whistling stops. To your horror, you realize you have tripped over is a foot. A giant slowly rubs its eyes and gets to its feet. It hoists up a massive stone club. Catch the spell. That can be a giant. What can I cast? Yob. I could, but that'll get rid of my giants too. I could become as big as the giant. Okay, that's a good one. What's the other one? I don't think there is another one. Oh no, there's a K. Nope. You're lying to me. Yeah. I can make him dumb. Oh, or I can make treasure. I feel like I'm just gonna go big. Big. You cast a spell and wait. Slowly the ground moves away from you. You're now growing larger. The hill giant watches in dumb disbelief as you grow to match his size. Then you draw your sword. I'm gonna guess. Yeah, they usually do that. With a roar that shakes the rock, the giant swings his club and comes for you. Determined to crack open your bones, you raise your sword to cover your enormous body. He raises his club defensively. You circle one another. His stupid eyes are watching you closely, not wanting to take a risk. So then you hit him with the power move. Lumbering in, you move in, aiming to trap the giant against the cave wall, readying a massive blow that could part stone. You stomp forwards. He deflects as well as he can. So, because he went low, defend, because he's going to go high, yep. You drop down, protecting yourself as best as you can. Just in time, the giant raises his club above its head and attempts to crush you in a single blow. You are just in time to move away to one side. He raises the club across his body defensively. Ah. Hefting your sword, you move forward, stamping forward, you aim to skewer his heart. The giant flicks your attack neatly away with his club. Expecting a storm, you raise your guard. As the giant swipes his terrible club, you step back, mostly unhurt. Numbering in, you move in, preparing a massive swing that could cleave a tree trunk. You pound for your opponent. The giant parries slowly. The hill giant stumbles suddenly. He is weakening. His eyes follow your movements cautiously. No, I could have beat him. You drop down, protecting yourself. As the giant jabs with his club, you step smartly aside. You are largely unscathed. Hefting your sword, you move upwards, mustering a massive blow that could part bone from bone. You stomp forward. The giant pushes your blow smartly away. The giant's eyes are bloodshot, and he is moving much slower now. Expecting a storm, you raise your guard. As the giant swings his terrible club, you duck and roll. And then he's... Oh! You attempt to attack and suffer for it. The giant raises this enormous club and brings it crushing into you. Your sword swings wide, with much power behind the blade, as the blow strikes home. A great weariness has entered your muscles. A haze has overcovered your eyes. Okay, I beat him. Lumbering in, you move in, thundering across the floor. You thrust a straight lunge towards his eye. Then your sword slips between the giant's ribs as he falls, gasping his last in a noise like a gushing waterfall. No retrying. Search the body. Quickly search the giant's body and find a pouch at his waist containing 8 gold pieces. It's hard to imagine that the giant spending them. Perhaps he was not as dumb as he appeared. Or perhaps he liked them because they were shiny and nothing more. You liked them too, so you take them. Examine the body. Step over the body. The giant is quite dead. His eyes stare open and his mouth is wide open. Wide, mid-roar, showing his teeth. Do something about his eyes? You pass a hand over his eyes to close them. Search the cave. Explore into the depths of the giant's cave to see what you can find. At the back of the room, you find a large loaf of bread. It's too big to carry, but you could eat a little from it. Sure. Tear away the crust with your sword, then eat a few handfuls from inside. It's fairly nourishing, if not pleasant. Leave now. Well, that sucked. I almost died. Let's try to pray. Gorilla. My spirit is the gorilla, the king of the great apes, creature of honor and good faith, who accepts both danger and misfortune as traveler and companions without hesitation. A prayer to the spirit will heal me, but after a prayer, my spirit will not hear me again for some time. I know that that's once a day, so we get the healing, so I won't be like dead. You press the rise and continue down the slope on the other side. You pass out through another gigantic gate and into a barren mountainside. No, they're taking me to Dumpus. The path trips and slides down a steep, screed slope and then emerges onto a sudden plain as if the forest had been scooped away by a gigantic hand. River trickles thinly between short glasses, and by its banks stands a tiny village. I can go into that village. It's called Dumpus. I'm leaving. You have made good speed today. You'll do better to maintain that, and not waste your time on the people of these parts. You follow the path halfway down into the valley, then stride off across the plain. Close by the village, you find a small patch of trees to offer some shelter. The ancient giant gate is just within view, looming over everything in sight. And from here, you can see another village, atop a mountain to the west, but not for today. Let's make a camp. Get some healing. You walk on until you pass a suitable spot in the woods to make your camp. crack between two large upright stones with a dirt clean behind it. You throw your possessions through and then squeeze in after them. There's enough space to stretch out further. You should have a peaceful night there. Well, I already ate today. You settle down with your head on your pack to rest. You manage to sleep an hour's sleep and then wake. Something is pacing outside. Stay hidden. You stay low and hidden. Listen to the padding paws and the occasional sound of claws scraping on stone. An eye appears in the gap between the tree roots. The eye of a werewolf. It has found you. Cast a spell. Can I do something funny? Can I do like... Well, like... I don't... Objectively, I don't think I don't think casting big's gonna work either. That's not an option. I don't think I can cast gum. No, I don't. Let's see. Oh, no. W. Okay, so it's either big or law. And I honestly am not sure if law would work, because I don't think a werewolf counts as a low intelligent creature. So let's just try big. Big. Cast a spell growing 2 or 3 times your own size. In the tight space between the rocks, you're suddenly unable to fit, and you feel the rocks crushing in on your bones, but the magic doesn't... Okay, I might have killed myself. Ruff watches with bemusement as your body twists and squishes, trying to fit into the narrow gap. Okay. Okay, I died. Give myself a rewind. My bad. Let's see what the werewolf does. You might see that the monster will attack, but doesn't. It knows it has you cornered. It seems quite happy to wait. You will have to come out of your hole eventually. You decide to wait it out. It is a werewolf after all. Well, the full moon won't last forever. And for now, it seems like you are safe in the narrow enclosure when the creature cannot get to you. The sim might last for an hour or so, and then the creature gives up and pads away into the forest. Gratefully, you settle down to sleep once more. You dream strange dreams as you sleep. It seems as though you wander through doors and hallways built 10, 20 times your height. You're an insect, and the hills over which you walk are the follicles of hair on the shaved chin of a giant. Storms of hot, fetid breath seem to sweep across you, trying to blow you down into hell. Overhead, you fancy you heard the flap of giant wings. The birdmen came for the crown. Perhaps before this journey is finished, they will come for you. Okay. Move on. Yeah, keep going. Wake up early, gather your belongings, and set off once more along the trail. After another hour or so, the way branches, with one path heading up into the hills and another one turning downhill along one side of a barren stony ridge. Is that a village you can make out on top of the hill? Seems like a lonely place for it. I'll go into this tiny village. The gentle upward slope becomes a steep climb, and you are forced to rest several times so far. You have been walking through the foothills. Now the journeying will become more serious. When finally you reach the summit, you can look over the low plateau you have crested. You see the path runs through a small settlement of crudely fashioned huts. Wait a little longer. The villagers on the street talking and working. It seems like a happy, bustling place. You stay at your vantage point and watch a while longer to see if things change. After a while, you begin to notice something strange about the way people in the village are moving. First, you notice one is limping, then another. Then you realize they're all shuffling as they move. Some use sticks. One is even crawling. There's something bad about it. Can I, like, heal people? Because if I can, I would definitely just do that. blah, blah, blah. Dim form. Top. Oh, I need a medical potion to heal people. No, can't do that. I would say to avoid this place. You've seen enough. Whatever the village situation, it cannot be a happy one. Taking to the low scrub, you walk a quarter stroke around the village to the far ridge. Look back. Looking back, you can now see the village a little closer. There are red crosses marked on some of the doors. This is a sign of the plague. You shudder, thank your spirit, and move on. Path runs down a steep slope and into some trees. It's difficult to see the way ahead through the tree line, but you can't see any other alternative, so you keep going, and eventually the path bursts out into a narrow stone ledge high above the valley floor. The ledge leads left and right. There is no way forward. Look left. Looking left, you can see that the narrow ledge is formed by a splitting of the rock that leads all the way down to the misty valley floor. There's a path up the other side. It's not clear from here. Look right. Looking right, you are taken aback. As out of the mist that fills the valley, an impossibly wide bridge looms into view, as if it had only now fallen into place. It is made of planks and thick ropes, and is suspended from this peak to the peak from the other side. Who could have built such a marvel, and how long ago? Let's look at the bridge. You take a moment more, staring at the bridge. It forms a delicate curve across the valley, swaying very slightly in the wandering wind. But the more you look, the more it seems too perfect. Could such a bridge possibly exist, or is it a mere illusion to trick the incautious traveler? Getting to your feet once more, you take a moment to find your balance before moving on. One slip here, and you will fall a long way down. Let's go to the bridge, you know. Classic, I could fall scenarios. You follow the narrow ledge up to the bridge, expecting at any moment to grow wings and fly away. As the ledge winds and weaves its way around the cliff, you reach the peak where the bridge is deeply anchored by an enormous stone foot. Beside that is a small, disheveled hut. Look at the hut. A small little shack is barely large enough to house a goblin, but someone has decorated it in a weird fashion with outlines of figures tall and short and stocky, drawn in faded shades of wood, and some in red blood-colored clouds. And from a few of these figures, actual bones protrude from the walls themselves, as if they formed part of the structure. You should have known immediately, of course. A bridge like this out here smells of sorcery and witchcraft. Knock at the hut door. You walk over to the hut and knock. There was no answer. Stranger still, however hard you beat your fist, your knocking seems to make no noise at all, as if the wood were a cup of water and you were beating your knuckles against its surface. Let's go across the bridge. No matter, the hut is old and disheveled, probably empty. Steadying your foot upon the bridge, you begin to make your way steadily across. You have only gone a few steps when you hear a voice calling from behind you. Halt, stranger! You turn to see an ugly hunchbacked creature who has sidled out of the hut door. If you wish to pass, 2 answers must you give to Vancast. I'll give you your answers. You call back. The creature chuckles and asks his first question. A sister I have, which in captivity. She lies in the woods. So first, tell to me, do you know of her friend, of this cunning dame? And how is she known? Tell me, what is her name? You have met no witch or sister. Perhaps you have seen clues all the same. Was that in that riddle that guy gave me? Other items? No. Keys? No, those are real keys. Treasure. Sir, I have no idea. There's something starting with an A. Elana. The hunchback smiles. Your answer is correct and true. Now you must answer question 2. Through villages 3, you now have passed. What was first, what was second, and what was last? I didn't go through Dumpus. Well, isn't it as simple as... Hey, let me cheat. Let me cheat. Katapani. It's Katapani. First Katapani. Katapani. Then I went to Cristanti. Then Cristanti. Britannia? Is that a city? I did. Finally, Dumpus. The hunchback nods once, deeply, and you breathe a deep sigh of relief. He gestures for you to proceed along the bridge, but calls out one last verse of advice. Beware the lair of the cave demon's maze. Stay to listen. You hover to listen on the rest of the verse, for traps as deadly as Medusa's gaze greet travelers who, of luck befret, take passageways not to the left. Thank him. You call out a thank you, and Vankis nods once more before returning to his hut. Quickly fearing any more traps, you hurry across the rope bridge. You're rather grateful when your foot touches the grass on the outside. You follow the path over the crest of the hill and down to the next valley. It is now late afternoon. Okay, don't go left. Not that I would have anyway. Some way down the hill, you stop for a rest and sit on a boulder to survey what lies ahead. The path leads downwards, and at its foot, cradled between 3 peaks, is a village, and quite large at that. Behind you, the sun is setting rapidly into the hills. It will be night soon. Approach the village. The village looks like a good place to stop. You hop down from the boulder and make your way forward, when overhanging branch touches your face, and you hear a lively chirping. Freeze. You freeze. Hovering by your shoulders is a small creature, the size of a bird. It is childlike, but very thin, with green skin, and it flits around you on transparent wings. It seems friendly enough. It even lands on your shoulder. Its tiny clawed toes pinching slightly. Talk to it. Greetings, little creature. And hello to you, the creature replies, chirping. My name is Jan. What are you? The creature does a backflip and gives a little bow. I'm a mini-mite. Pleased to meet you. It reaches out a tiny hand and shakes your earlobe. What do you want with me? See that village? The creature replies. Last time I tried to go through, they told me I wasn't welcome, and so I wouldn't mind some protection. The creature starts hopping up and down. Come on, it grumbles impatiently. Let's get going, can't we? I can protect you. The creature squeezes your shoulder gently. It's like having a spider trying to burrow into your skin. What can you tell me about this village? You point down the valley. Is it safe? That's Britannia, and it's very safe. It's the largest village in the whole of the Shamanti Hills. Every traveler who comes this way spends at least one night here, so it's a little bit expensive, especially for mini-mites, but pleasant enough. The creature flits to your other shoulder once more. You're not in any hurry, are you? It observes. Do you want to sleep out in the rough? Let's get going then. Well, let's get going then. The creature shakes you by the ear in excitement, and you set off along the path once more. You descend into the bowl of the valley. The hills on either side are towering tall and throw the village into deep shadow. It would seem a very gloomy, threatening place, but from the streets come the distant sound of laughter and merriment. You continue along the path, the sound of festivities growing louder. It's almost spooky. Here in the shade of the village, after so long on the dire road, the people in the village seem to be enjoying themselves. See? The mini mite on your shoulder remarks. I told you it was a happy place. Jan, what's going on here? Are they bewitched? Jan shakes his head. No, if they were magic, believe me, I'd know. This is the festival of the young. What's that? Well, take a look. Jan waves a little hand around the village. The idea is that once a year, the children are allowed the freedom of the village. It is time of great fun and lots of pranks. It becomes quickly obvious what he means. You pass the first few buildings, where you find a number of children sitting in the street and drinking ale from deep mugs. Farther on, a young boy is holding an old woman over his knee and is spanking her. On the other side of the street, a group of boys is fighting outside a hut with a sign that reads, Glandregor's Tavern. It's all complete mayhem. You stride over to the boy, intending to rescue the woman, but at the sight of your man and so the boy put her down and gets to his feet. And what are you about? He demands. I'm the leader of this village for today, and I say, go to bed. I'm not hitting the child. You heed the boy's warning and creep away. You consider helping the woman, but there's nothing you can do. It is their festival, after all. Tavern. Fair. I want to see some... I can get some good information, I think. Behind the bar, a thick-set man is wiping mugs down with an old rag. Greetings, stranger, he calls. I'm Grandragor. Can I be helping you? Greetings. I've come a long way. I'm sure you have. Take a seat. And do so. And Jan leaps up and onto the counter. Grandragor seems amused rather than alarmed by the creature. How much is ale? You ask. 2 pieces, and it's the finest in town. What's the only ale in town? I make sure of that. Buy a mug. You put 2 gold pieces down on the countertop, and Glandragor pulls you a mug of beer. It's warm, frothy, and deeply refreshing. Glandragor smiles. You look like you've been on the road a while. You have no idea, you reply. Glandragor nods. Tell me about yourself. Me? Why? He spreads his hand. I'm a normal enough fellow. What you see is what you get with me. That's what I always say. Tell me about this village. Glandragor shrugs. Not much to say. What you see is what you get again. This place keeps going because it's on the only route between Kare and Katapani. If one of these mountains falls or the river freezes over, this place would be a desert in 2 weeks. I'm headed for Kare myself. Of course you are, he grins. Didn't I just tell you that? What can you tell me about it? Ah, Kare. I loved a girl in Kare once. It's a town for love, you know. You have to live every day like it's your last in Kare, because the chances are high that it will be. Now there's a city of thieves, if ever there was one. I have my magic. Then you better lose that thing, he replies, flicking Jan with a finger. The tiny creature rolls over uneasily. He seems to be ill. Glandragor goes back to wiping down his bar. Then a thought occurs to him. You'll be passing through Torpani, I suppose. The Sphins in Torpani are normally a merry lot, but they've been pretty depressed at the moment. There's a real gloom about the place. What's the matter with them? Oh, well, he thinks for a moment, then waves away whatever was on the tip of his tongue. I'm sure it's nothing to concern you. From the counter, Jan issues a loud burp. He's been sipping ale from puddles on the bar top and is quite drunk now. Wake him. You poke the little creature, clambers boozily up your finger, but then topples off and onto the floor. Leave him here if you like, Glandragor says. I'll pick him up and put him in a mug. But she didn't quite manage it. At the last moment, Jan rouses himself and flies wobblingly back onto your shoulder. I love you, he whispers into your ear. Wow, I got a little companion. Let's continue exploring. You head out of the tavern and turn a corner to find a group of girls standing by a signpost pointing to the crystal waterfall. They're tripping up their elders as they pass and giggling. Ask them about the waterfall. You stop by the group and ask them about the waterfall, but they are too distracted by Jan, whom they delight in poking, tickling, and gently cooing over. After a few minutes of asking about the waterfall, you give up and walk away. One of the girls calls, "Come back!" Another shouts, "The water is good for you." Jan sighs, already missing the attention, but comes back to rest on your shoulder. You leave the girls to their snickering. Let's go to the water. It's good for me. You go back, past the girls, and head up a path that climbs through a crack in the mountainside. Soon the air is filled by a thundering. It's quite a climb, but eventually you turn a corner through a narrow cleft in the rock and catch your first glimpse of the tall, natural waterfall plunging down from the cliffs overhead. Large crystal stalactites hang down either side of the water. It is stunning. There's only one path to reach it, winding up the rock face, and it passes by a small hut where a ruffian is collecting money. Greet the ruffian. You make your way over to the hut. Greetings, you begin. You collect a fee for the waters? I do, sneezes the ruffian. These waters cannot be so healing that he has not caught an awful flu from them. 3 gold pieces. You hand over your coins, the ruffian hands you a towel in return. Get up the waterfall, which cascades forcefully into a deep pool. You strip off your clothes and dive into the pool, while Jan glitters through the froth. The cool water is fresh and invigorating, and you feel yourself getting rapidly better. You feel a huge swell of confidence. Coming here was the best decision you've ever made. This water cures diseases? When people should be told about it. The villagers up on their lonely mountain, ravaged by the plague, they should be brought here. They can be saved. But it is late already. The walk back to the plague village will lose you a day, maybe more. In this place so close, they must know of it. Perhaps their symptoms are too serious to be healed. You must send someone else. Your mission is too important to risk. You know of one good-hearted creature at least. Jan, you begin. How would you like to be a hero? The creature cocks his head to one side. I've never much fancied it. Explain what he should do. There's a village I passed through earlier today up on the mountaintop. Those villagers should be brought here to this waterfall, and I want you to do it. The creature narrows its eyes. You mean the plague village? Yes. You're trying to get rid of me. I'm used to that. I expect it. But what am I? Being what I am, but I'm not going anywhere. And the bratish little imp folds his tiny arms and squats down on the top of your head out of sight. Go myself. There's nothing else for it. Shouldering your pack, you begin the long, weary journey back to the village of the plague. You're not really doing this, are you? Jan hisses in your ear. You're crazy! You ignore the small creature's complaints. After an hour, you're within sight of the long bridge through the clouds and the steep slope into the valley. Jan is hopping mad. Where are you going? I thought you were on a mission. This is important. Sure it is, Jan replies grumpily. So is sleep. You say nothing, but keep walking. A few minutes later, Jan pipes up again. All right, all right. What is it now? Jan shakes his head, leaping up from your shoulder to flitter irritatingly right in front of your face. Listen to me. You can't go. I won't let you. Why not? Because I'll go for you. Mini mites can't catch plague, so there's no risk. And I can fly faster than you. And if I save a whole village, I'm bound to find someone who will look after me properly. He looks at you, expecting to argue. Thank you, Jan. Jan nods and sighs. It's the right thing to do. Then he turns, and with a buzzing sound flits away into the dark. You are alone once more. The villagers should be in safe hands, but you cannot stay to receive their thanks. It is time to find somewhere to sleep. Within luck, you will reach Kare tomorrow. So, sleep at an inn. I don't want to risk sleeping. I want, I want a, I want a bed. 5 gold pieces. How much for a meal? 4 gold pieces. Still, the rest will be welcome. You hand over 4 gold pieces and take a seat in the front room of the inn. The smell pervading from the kitchen are appealing, but the sounds are not. It seems like the cook is dropping as much food as they are cooking. You know, the child is doing the cooking as best as they can. When the meal comes, it is hearty enough. You eat alone and in silence. It seems the festival has driven other travelers out of town. You pay the girl 5 gold pieces, and she directs you up a winding set of stairs to a room in the rafters of the house. From here, you have a perfect view over the madness in the streets outside. Children are running riot with blazing torches, waving them in the faces of adults they pass. A few men have their legs and arms tied around fence posts. It wasn't a festival. If this wasn't a festival, it would be a revolution. Go to sleep. But never mind their problems. Pushing a chest in the way of the door to stop anyone coming in, you stretch yourself out of the straw matting. The noise from the street begins to subside as darkness spreads across the village. As you sleep, a strange hunched-over finger shambles through your thoughts, speaking in riddles and offering dread advice. His warnings ring in your ears. Greet travelers who have luck and befret. Rest of the night, passages seamlessly. Cool. Easy. You rise early. You head downstairs and out of the inn. Nothing on the way that the girl who lets you... Wait. Noting on the way that the girl who lets you in is now sitting quietly in a chair, where parents clean and prepare breakfast of baked bread. You hear outside and follow the path to the far side of Brittany. The sun sits on the village like a gleaming jewel. If all goes well, you will reach Torpani today, the last village in the Shumanti Hills. After a short climb, the path breaks. Uh, Heading uphill to the left and downhill to the right. Thank you. Thank you for the follow, Pen the Penguin. Yeah, I'm playing Sorcery. Honestly, I've actually had this game for a while. I just never touched it. Like, even when I was like really young, I wanted to play this, but I just never bothered to. Welcome to the stream. Here's a path. With Torpani so close, it hardly matters which way you go, surely. I'll go a long way. Long way around the mountain. The path slopes gently downward through shrubby forests and across patches of dry, weary earth. The Shumanti Hills are relatively verdant compared to the backlands beyond the Jobjai River, and you can see the influence of the desolation already creeping into the soil like a spreading infection. Then as you crest a rise up Then as you crest a rise, a powerful, pleasant smell reaches your nostrils, and you see off to your right a path through the field of beautiful black flowers. Black flowers? Try using magic. You ready a spell, you clear your mind, trying to ignore the smell rising from the field, and ready a spell. Now Oh no. I don't trust black flowers. I'm gonna do it. Yeah, I'm just gonna do sus. Because I think that's... I'm gonna see if there's any danger. You cast a spell and deep calm enters your soul, followed by a strong sense of panic. You sense a heady, powerful, and deadly force rising from the plants all around you. Every second spent here is certain death. You waste no time doubting the warning. It's clear as a ringing bell. You turn smartly around. Okay. That's good. Good thing I finally got to... did that. You climb a rise. The way is not too steep, and as noon approaches, you have crested the ridge, and are descending yet again. You are now at the highest point of the hills, where the trees are thin. The view west goes on forever, and sometimes you catch a glimpse of Kare on the northern horizon. Keep going, I don't need to. Said not to stop and eat, but push on. Line of trees approaches, the shadows between their trunks deep and threatening. Then you are under the canopy, and it takes your eyes a moment to adjust. You come to a dead stop. Something is moving through the trees behind you. A moment later, a point of steel has emerged from the darkness between two trees and touches your neck. You've seen me, whispers a voice. I know it. Answer. I see nothing, you call back. You are quite safe. It is not I who is not safe, returns the voice. Ask who is there. There is no reply, but the tall dark figure of an assassin emerges from the trees. He is dressed head to toe in black. You had not seen him a moment before. Even though he had been standing a mere arm's length away, he wields a sharp scimitar in expert hands. Let's see if I can one up him with a spell right off the bat. Walk. I don't have money, right? That is true. I'm not... Zap was funny. Fix? Fixedness. I can't do it anyway. No, I'm just gonna fight him. You bring your sword up to bear. Let's go with a 2. The assassin nods at you, taps 2 fingers against his chest, and readies his stance. You begin with a quick stab, expecting the assassin to be cautious at first. He turns his curved sword about. You knock the assassin staggering into a tree. He seems more surprised than hurt. He spins his sword about to shift the sword across his body. Okay. The trees watch as the battle unfolds. Relentlessly, you cut and thrust, keeping him pinned. You rush forward with a deep, heavy slash, but the blow you land is only minor because the assassin has adjusted his stance swiftly. He spits blood. Closing his eyes, he murmurs a quick prayer as he sets his stance. Defend. You drop yourself into a crouch as he powers forward, but it only tires him out. You are mostly unharmed. The assassin laughs appreciatively. He swivels his grip. The weapon sings as it moves. Time to attack. You swing your sword fast and in towards his chest, but his own move is fast and careful, and he is able to parry. Blood drips from the assassin's tunic. He curses under his breath. My duty is to sever your head from your neck, the assassin tells you in a voice as cold as polished marble. You will not hold me from it. You whip up your defenses as he tries a deep silence, but you roll out of the way, mostly unhurt. He nods to you wisely. No. Acting quickly, you swing a masterful swipe, but the impact clangs against his turned sword. He grins. The assassin's breath is coming in a short grasp. He closes his eyes for a moment to steady himself. Oops. You ready yourself to block as he lunges back and watches without emotion. Breathing deeply, the assassin whispers a mantra. No, I don't like that. Yeah, couldn't beat him. You hold firm and keep up your defense as he attempts a strong stroke. You parry as best as you can. He raises one hand to draw a finger in a line across his throat. You will die out here, the assassin says, his tone like ice. Leaping into action, you dive forward with a deep, heavy blow. He is off balance and moving slowly, and the blade goes deep. He turns and tumbles, releasing his sword as he topples. I am not so proud as to not admit what I'm beating, he groans. You may finish me if you choose, but if you do me an honor and use my own blade. The assassin is not dead, but lies on the floor, gasping. Spare him. Then get up, you tell him, holding your sword back, but not putting it away yet. He nods and sheathes his own blade. You're an honorable man. I'm glad to meet you. Now you have saved me. You own me in part. My name is Flanker, and I'm an assassin and thief. Why did you attack me? It is a simple matter. I pick on wayfarers for practice in hiding and in killing. I assumed you would be no match, but I see I was wrong. Bows his head once, perhaps in respect, perhaps from the pain of his injuries. Are you traveling to Kara? He asks. Yes. I go that way as well. I will not travel with you, but once you are there, perhaps I will see you. If so, I will not forget the debt I owe you. I will remember you there. He bows his head again. This time it is definitely from pain. Go, he hisses. You cannot aid me. Help him. No, you reply. You have caused your wounds, and I will help you. He grins with gritted teeth. Are you a doctor? I don't think you are. Bind his wounds. Tearing strips of dark fabric from his clothing, you bind his wounds tightly, and the bleeding lessens. You are too kind to a man who was about to kill you, he murmurs. Let that be your lesson, you reply. As you gather up your things, you head out for the forest, leaving him behind. You have a sense that you have made a powerful friend. Good, good. Good for the next chapter then, I guess. You continue along the path and around the side of a hill. A wooden hut is set into the slope, with an old woman sitting on the front step. A river seems to emerge from beneath her. As you get closer, you realize the water flows underneath her house, and the house itself is set on splayed struts like an insect, straddling the water course. A few paces from the front of the house, the water plunges over the edge of a sheer cliff and disappears. Greet the woman. Greetings, you call. The woman looks up at you and smiles. Come over here, won't you? She calls. I can barely see you. Sure. You approach the old woman. She smiles a toothless smile and gets up from the step. Come in, please, she beckons. I get so lonely living out here on my own, all away from the villagers. Go inside. Thank you. You follow her inside and take a seat by a long wooden table. I'll bring us some tea, she says. Sounds almost nervous. Hurrying to her kitchen, she returns with two larger cups. Make conversation. Tea is still hot. Your cup is in between your hands as you speak. What's your name? They call me Gaza Moon, she replies with a smile. I used to be quite well known in my way. You nod. But you have never heard of her. Why do you live alone? It must be more dangerous. Oh, she smiles sweetly. No one bothers about me. Why would they? You can't help but notice she has not answered the question. This is a beautiful place, you remark, watching the river outside the door plunging away over the cliff face. This is the top of the crystal waterfalls, she says. The river runs right under my house. They say it carries all my goodness and youth away while I slept, and the villagers bathe in it for luck. She giggles meanly. I'm sure it isn't quite true. You make to sip your tea when the old woman stops you, catching your arm before the cup reaches your lips. Oh, she says suddenly, I've forgotten the pot. She goes back to the kitchen to fetch it. Switch cups with her. She's playing me. While she is away from the table, you switch the 2 cups around. When she returns, you lift the closest one and drink. Suddenly, deep pain grips your stomach, and you double over. What's happening? You wince and cough, and you find yourself seizing up. Oh, suspicious stranger. I could count on traveler's suspicion my witchcraft. Please release me. You try and shut up, but you are paralyzed and quite powerless. The old woman begins to search through your bag. With a coo of delight, she pulls out the spellbook page you were given by the old man in the tree. My book! She cries. The missing page! Why didn't you tell me you had my missing spell? She scurries off into the kitchen and returns with a cup of liquid. She pours it into your half-open mouth while chuckling and stroking your head. It is an antidote. You feel your body slowly unfreeze. Finally, she slaps you to bring you around. What is the spell? You ask. The spell of pest repulsion. You have no idea how useful it is around here. She shakes her head. 4 days ago, I was visited by travelers such as yourself. But when I was away making my tea, as I always do, he started leafing through my book and tore out a page. He must have been a wizard of power because he vanished almost too fast for me to curse him. Will you uncurse him now? Well, she looks a little uncomfortable. I rather think that it might be too late. I aged him to almost 130 years, you see. I want to slow him down, but instead I sped him up. And she giggles. She fusses with the page, repairing her spellbook with some gentle magic. You take the opportunity to leave. Okay. Easy out. It's now late afternoon. You pass over the brow of the next hill, and below you is the village of Torpani. Sung from one side of the village, sung from one side of the valley to the next, like a flood barrier. Approach. So there's no way around it. You will have to go through it. You enter the village. There's a definite air of depression hanging over the place. The Sylvans are going about their business slowly and miserably, and pay you no heed. You sit yourself down on a tree stump in the very center of the village to consider your option. Make contact with the villagers first. You spy a group of Sylvans sitting outside a low hut, and you walk over and sit yourself down. They are discussing a friend apparently killed in the night by assassin's curved blade. Is that why you all are afraid? You ask. We afraid of nothing, retorts one of the Sylvans furiously. But no, much worse. Another Sylvan bangs his hand down on the table. But with Esh dead, who saved Tia? Who's Tia? A flower, the Sylvan who answers wipes a tear from the corner of his eye, scratching himself painfully with an uncut fingernail. Tia is Chief's daughter, the other Sylvan says. Esh was to save her. Now Esh not alive, so Tia soon not alive. I'll save her. You? Replied the Sylvan. You thin and weak, not even green. Trouble is, another says, our village die if Chief line end. Tia is end. So if end ends, we end. All very sad. Very sad, they all agree. Who you? One asks suddenly, as if only just thinking of it. He prods you in the chest. Sorcerer. Sorcerer! A sudden gleam enters the biggest one's eyes. Great sorcerer? I do my best. Best is good. Make, Chifa. He signals to the others who are quickly on their feet. Big hefty arms swinging for you. We take to Chief. Before you can resist, they have you and are hauling your body onto their shoulders. Just wait to see what happens. You hold your tongue and wait to see where they're taking you. You pass through the village. Several civilians watch from doors and windows. Their faces silent and somber. A few murmurs, blessings, maybe curses as you pass. Then when you reach a hut on the edge of the village, you are set down carefully. Captured. As it really captured, I agreed to help them. The door is slammed and locked. A moment later, it reopens. Your possessions are thrown inside. Eat something. Pulling your knapsack, you pull out a quantity of the cheese and bread and eat it. Nothing else happens. Try to sleep. Figuring they were probably now way into daylight, you put down your head to sleep. Your dreams are filled with grasping hands, long dark nails scratching at your flesh. And however much you toss and turn on the floor, you cannot quite get them out of your mind. Daybreak. Going to go on an adventure to save the daughter of the chief. Daybreak. You are still alone. An hour passes before you hear any noise outside. And then the door to the hut opens and 5 Sylvans come in. They drag you roughly out and across the streets to another hut, where an old man with gray hair sits. He is wearing outlandish colorful robes. My name, Process Chief. He slaps his chest twice. I apologize. Then he bows, brushing the dust on the floor with his sleeves. Apology accepted. The chief nods. He waves to a menial who brings in bread and milk. Eat it. Gratefully, you bolt down the meal. It does not seem to be poison, and it nourishes you. The bowl is removed, and the chief squats down in a pool of cloth. I have need of you, and your strength. I will help if I can. The chief bows. I am grateful. My daughter, my child, she is taken. Offered to a terrible demon below. I will try, or die trying. The chief claps you on the shoulder with a clawed hand. He gestures to the other servants, who, still taking no chances, grab you by your arms and haul you to your feet. You are led along a short pathway through the forest to a crack on the ground. One Sven has brought a rope, another a basket. They are preparing to lower you down into the pit of earth of earth itself. Take an adventure. You wait until they are ready, then step into the basket. The chief nods to you with respect. Watch the darkness, he declares, as they start to lower you down. You hit the floor with a thud and peer into the darkness. Your eyes can make out nothing, but the slight breeze suggests endless space in all directions. You are blind, helpless, trapped. Something collapses to your feet from above. One of the Sylvans shouts something down to you. Feel around on the ground. You crouch down and feel around on your feet until your hand closes on the base of something. You pick it up. It's a dry wood torch. Something else falls from above and strikes you on the head. Tinderbox, calls the voice. Feel around for the tinderbox. Rubbing the bruise on your head, you reach down and find the tinderbox. Light the torch. You strike a light and the torch blazes into flame. We're going on a cool adventure. You can not go left. The guy told me not to go left. You can see now you are in a large cavern, wide and deep. At the far end, passageways disappear to the left or right. Through an uneven rockfall at the end of the cavern, you hear a murmur. Listen by the rocks. You clamber over the rocks at the edge of the cavern to investigate the sound. It is a whimper coming from the other side of the pile of stones. This Finn girl, perhaps? She came in this way, but then the cave-in blocked off her path. So you have to find another way to reach her. Go right. Turn right. Creeping slowly forward. The passage rises up an incline. At the top, a thick crystal seam glitters in torchlight, and the tunnel ends in a T-junction. Look at the crystal. The seam seems to be made of pure diamond. It was no doubt in a quest that these tunnels were carved. But why is no one mining here now? Dig out the crystal. You try and pry out some of the diamonds loose from the incredible seam of the rock, but your sword is not up to the task. It will only make it blunt. You could perhaps return with a proper pick, but only if you could escape the tunnels first. Okay, go around. You walk down the passage for several minutes and slip on some dirt. And the ground beneath your feet gives away. You plunge into a hidden pit and land on some soft. Look around. Not yet counting your luck. You look around, and sure enough, you are out of the frying pan and into the reptile den. A pit of snakes! I'm not praying. Use magic. You check the stars to see what is available to you. This is gonna be what? It's gonna be easy. Animal control. Non-intelligent creatures. Cast a spell. And the snakes are under my command. Order them to help. You command the snakes to approach. They slither nearer and nearer. Then they begin to climb the walls, holding themselves erect until they form a living ladder. Climb up quickly. Steal their courage and climb quickly back up to the tunnel above. Back on firm ground, you watch as the spell leaves the snakes and they tumble, snapping, hissing, and hungry, back to the cavern floor. You are soon back by the crystal seam where a side passageway opens on the left. Go straight on. Here the cave system widens, pendulous stalactites hanging from the ceiling as if about to fall and skewer you in place. You skirt between them, following a thin, safe path until a passageway appears on my right. Go right. Move through the opening in the right wall. After a few minutes, walking up a sharp incline, you begin to hear something in the distance, a low rumbling. Wait and see. Wait and see what happened. The rumbling gets round, and then your hair stands on end as you see a large, rounded boulder rolling swiftly down the passage towards you. The rock is almost a perfect fit for its tunnel, and its speed is increasing as you dither. Okay, let's see what magic I can use here. Rock. A force field, maybe. Wall. What's the other thing? Floating in air is not going to help when it's the size of the tunnel. I can't cast Fix. Let's try wall. Let's see if that does it. You cast your spell just in time. The great boulder hits your invisible wall with considerable force, causing the whole cave to shake and shudder. Then the boulder holds in place like a pawing horse. But your spell will not last long. You better get a move on. Go right. The sword slips down in a short while. Then a crack splits the wall on the left. Two stones are stacked on top of one each other against the wall here. Examine the stones. Nothing special about the two stones, except they happen to be on top of one another. Go straight on. You keep forward through the dark. The tunnel twists and bends sharply, as if carved by a river now long since dried away. You lose all sense of which way is which, except to keep going forward where the passage you are following splits. There's a stacked pair of stones here as well. Go right. You turn right. The cave floor here is an inch deep in water, dripping from an arched ceiling far above. The droplets that land on you are ice cold and run like sharpened claws down your back. A few strides farther on the path, your creeping through finishes at another fork. Single stone sits by the wall. Go right. The rock in the wall of the passage turns from natural stone to something carved and shaped by ancient hands. There's an occasional marking of lettering, now half rubbed away by time, spelling some message of doom. Then the passage ends abruptly in a sealed door. Open it. Push open the door slowly. Then a catch clinks and some ominous rumbling starts behind you. A wall is rising from the stone to seal off your escape. Go into the room. You push forward into the room undeterred, only to be met with an appalling sight. There are hundreds of gallons of water rushing towards you. You're swept off the ground as the room and corridor fill. You are sure to drown. Magic. Magic's the only way out of this. Water. How do I stop water? Off. I don't know what that does. Force field? Maybe. That's number one contender. Treasure? Not gonna help me. Dop might help me. Let's try that. You cast the spell rapidly, and then the ceiling wall behind you judders with a great grinding of stone on stone, then begins to fall. The corridor drains quickly, the water disappearing to unseen sewers. You are left up back on the floor. A narrow escape. You head back to the previous junction, almost as if nothing had happened. You've been lucky, very lucky indeed. You return to the flooded chamber where a cross space grapes on your left. Go straight on. You move straight along the tunnel. The going is suddenly more difficult, and you realize the tunnel is climbing at quite a sharp gradient. Little stones rattle and roll downwards into the dark. At the highest point, a side passage breathes a gentle wind on the left. As you enter, two stones roll down the slope. Go straight on. You edge farther down the tunnel. The cave walls crush in close, and though the rock is squeezing your death, your shoulders rub against the walls. When you feel certain you can go no farther, the wind seam forks again. Another pair of stones are stacked in the corner. You reach through the gap in the right wall, moving down the tunnel. Your foot suddenly meets thin air, In front of you is a deep pit, from which rises the hissing of snakes. You have returned to the mouth of the snake pit. There's no choice but to go back. Okay, go left. Passageway climbs steeply, then a crack opens on the right. Go straight on. You splash through water, which drips from the ceiling, making your torch hiss and spit. Ahead, a crossface appears on your right. There's a stone here. Go right. The path twists and bends and jackknife, and then a side passage splits on the wall to the left. Go to the left. The ground seems to dip. At its lower point, a passageway gapes on the right. Go right. You see a spot of sunlight up ahead and rush forward to find yourself back beneath the crack of the ceiling through which you came. Gosh darn it. Turn back. Go left. Go left. Go left. The walls of the tunnel, your breath echoes off the damp stone. You almost trap. Go left. You're squeezed in the gap in the left wall. You follow the passageway. You hear an echo of whimpering coming up the corridor. Your torchlight falls across a frail shape. Hiding in the shadows is a young Sven girl, stacking stones into hundreds of little towers. Come with me. You hold out your hand, and the girl takes it against her feet. You have to be quiet, she hisses, or else. Suddenly, there's a loud roaring from the mouth of this short cavern. The walls begin to shake and crumble. The thin stone tower toppling scattered on one side. A gap in the rubble begins to open, letting through a mean shaft of light. But before you can head for it, the roaring sound is joined by a scream from the thin girl. Turn slowly and peer into the gloom back along the tunnel. Is there something moving? Something coming closer? Perhaps that roaring is the wind pushing through the tunnels. Something is coming. The beast. The demon. You hear the scraping sound of claws on rock. As you exit from the tunnel, it is blocked by a dark and looming shape. A manticore. Huge, terrible. It stands between you and the light and howls in bloody rage. You check the stars to see what spells are available to you. Slowness? That might help. Causes clumsiness. That might help me. Huff. Can't cast. I feel like that won't matter. I feel like the force field. I'm gonna try dumb. Dumb! You complete your enchantment and the manticore seems to stagger and trip. One foot colliding with the other and its sting becomes tangled in its wings. You have slowed it down. If you draw your sword now, you may have an advantage. Or have gained yourself more time for further sorcery. Okay, let's just try finding now. Oh! The manticore moves forward slowly. You breathe a sigh of relief to see your spell have some effect on a creature. You thrust your sword out in front of you, ready to strike hard. The moment it pounces, all of it crawls off the ground and bared to plunge into your flesh. The air is no longer slow. You brace yourself as it comes down and leap aside at the very last moment. Claws raking your skin. The ferocious creature has wounded you and crows in its victory with a cracking laughter. The creature snarls and snaps its jaw. You must finish this monster before it finishes you. With the rock wall at your back, you have no way to hide, but a perfect platform to spring forward. You race at the manticore, just as it swings its tail down like a hammer stroke. As it rears, you push your sword up into its exposed belly. You have opened a deep wound in its side. The Sven girl cheers. The manticore shifts away and opens its enormous jaw, which looks so human, but contains an impossible number of teeth, each one dripping with a mixture of saliva and blood. I could have beat him. Rarely you move into a defensive crouch. The manticore stays low and tries to ram you for a moment. It is close enough to smell its warm, fetid breath. In the darkness of the cave, it is hard to read the monster's intentions, but you cannot wait forever. Standing firm, you swing a mighty stroke against the monster. At the same moment as the manticore comes for you with a terrifying sting, you cut into it like a butcher. It curses you in almost human tongue. The beast growls at you. The walls shiver with its fury. The Sphin girl edges nearer, as if thinking of scratching the creature with her claws. It's scared, she whispers to you. You might not believe me, but it's scared. Rarely, you move into a defensive crouch. The manticore rushes you. At the last moment, you jump aside. The manticore laughs at you with a human expression of twisted joy. You risk an attack, dropping your weight. You chop a heavy swing at the vile beast just as the manticore charges you. You catch it rearing up and exposed. It is injured and angry. The manticore chomps and grinds its teeth, its expression an ugly frown. Back against the rocks, you deliver a ferocious stab at the foul creature, easily catching the manticore a light blow. The sting of its tail begins to leak a foul-smelling green ooze. You can almost smell the creature growing enraged and drop quickly away. The manticore makes a nasty swipe with its fearsome claws, but you duck and escape real injury. You're grasping for breath. The creature's relentless assault, its sheer rage, is almost too much for you to take. The monster rears up onto its back leg and opens its wings to fill the room. You spy an opening, and in a battle to the death, openings cannot be wasted. Standing firm, you swing a fearsome strike against the monster, deftly slipping a light strike past the manticore's outstretched claws. The creature crashes against one wall. Rock dust pours onto its back, but as it tries to shake itself, it stumbles. You can hardly dare to hope. The foul beast is weakening. Dropping your weight, you chop a hefty swing at the terrifying beast. At the same moment as the manticore tries to skewer you with its claws, you sink your blade into the creature's flesh. It roars in fury. The creature outstretches its enormous jaw and roars. Rarely you move into a defensive crouch. The manticore keeps close to the floor and rushes to knock you down. You remain hidden. The manticore whips out with its terrible sting, but you leap aside to safety. You give silent thanks for your concentration. The manticore roars. The ground itself seems to shake with anger. You must kill the creature. Back against the rock, you deliver a mighty stab at the creature, easily catching the manticore a passing cut. The manticore screams and howls in a voice that's almost human. It is dying. Slowly, fiercely, but nonetheless, it weakens. He got me. The manticore moves quickly and strikes so fast with its scorpion sting that you barely see it move, and have only one single breath to evade. The Sphin girl screams. Only then do you see the giant sting plunging down towards your forehead. In your weakened state, you are too slow to roll away. The sting lands with the force of a hammer blow, piercing your skull. The last thing you feel is the pumping of burning poison as it enters your brain. I'm trying again. I'm a fool. 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 Can I pray to my god during it? Okay. That's fine. You got this. I won't read it this time. I'll just do it. Or not, apparently. Because then it's gonna be that, and then I think he's gonna go higher. No, he goes lower. No, honestly, like I could just get him, right? Because he's gonna like, yeah. Then he's gonna attack big. And he's gonna attack medium. Then I'll attack big. And he's gonna attack low. And then I guard. And then he attacks like his big. And then I go all out. Then he's gonna attack low again. Yep, and I win. I'll read this one. Back against the rock, you deliver a mighty stab at the creature. Your sword blade seems almost to be possessed. It finds its way past the manticore's sweeping claws, through its thick hide, and down into its ancient cruel heart. For a moment, it howls loud enough to make the walls shake, and then everything falls very quiet. There we go. Easy win. And by easy win, I mean he killed me. The only noise in the chamber is the hammering of your heart and the quiet beat of the Sphin girl. Thank you, the Sphin girl mutters, then tugging at your arm. This way. She leads you to the light through a gap in the rocks, to the pool in the sunlight in the first cavern. You wave the torch, hoping to attract attention. Tell the girl to call on. Girl, call to your father. The Sphin child nods mutely, then bawls at the top of her lungs. Perseus, I'm here! Then something drops down, a rope with a basket on the end. Get in together, the chief calls from above. We'll pull you both up. Okay. You step into the basket and help the girl to clamber in with you. Ready? The Sphinx above begin to haul. The rope stretches and grows taut, but the basket doesn't move. The rope starts to make screamers and the baskets lift a finger wink off the floor. Get out and let the girl go first. All the way, the Sphinx give a great cry and begin to pull again. At this time, the basket starts to slowly rise, spinning as it goes. The girl waves to you as she disappears up into the sunlight. Then she is gone. Wait. A minute passes. Nothing happens. Wait. Another minute. Still nothing. No sign of sound or movement from above. The tunnel echoes very slightly. Noise from the depths. Perhaps the magical is not alone. Wait a little longer. You wait a little longer, settling down on your pack. You can imagine the celebration going on above ground. The tears of grateful reunion. No surprise if they lose track of you down here in the dark. And then sure enough, the basket and the rope tumble down. You clamber quickly in and they haul you up. Above ground, the chief himself helped you onto the grass. His daughter is with him, clutching his hand. My daughter tells you, you fight bravely, he says. For that I am grateful. I invite you back. I invite with us back to Paddy. Will you come? Yes, because I want like food. Because he almost murdered me. A little generosity cannot hurt you, you nod. I will come. As you enter the village, it erupts into celebration. You are given a place to stay and recuperate from your long journey. A visit to the healing priest treats your wounds, and when you emerge, it is to find the village. Before so somber and silent, now full of life. Flowers are tied to every rooftop, and bands of Sphinx are playing music on long, strangely shaped lyres. You are whisked away into the dance by Perseus' daughter, before the chief can welcome you to the feast. The night is glorious. That night you sleep heavily, and rise the next morning to continue your journey. The chief meets you before you go. My good friend, he declares, you save us. He presses 2 gifts into your hand. A pouch of 10 gold pieces. A fortune for a place like this, and a key. This opens south gate of Kare, he tells you. I hope it is use. You perform one last transaction before you go, exchanging your emerald for 12 more gold pieces with the chief. It is a much safer way to carry valuables, as you can stash them around your body and your boots and under your belts. Then it's time to leave. Time to go. You take your leave. The path winds away from Torpani, and soon you're on a downward slope, away from the Shumanti hills, through stepped rice fields. As you walk, you feel for the first time the loneliness of the path ahead. Though Kare is a busy city, it is cruel, and beyond Kare there is nothing but the vicious wasteland. You have no one to trust in the days ahead. For a brief moment, up on the hills above the path, you fancy you see a figure feeling its way along by some high and secret route. Figure in all black. But when you shade your eyes against the sun, whatever was there had disappeared. In the distance rises the wall of a great city. The first true stonework you have seen since the ruins of the giant city in the hills. No. And there we go. That's the end of part 1. I did pretty well. I only died twice. Once because of my own stupidity. The other because of Manticore being hard. Your journey through the Shamanti Hills is completed. Along the way, you have gained the friendship of Flanker, the assassin, and have been given 2 useful keys, to the cells of the Red Eyes and to the gates of Kare. You have collected some magical artifacts, a large lump of beeswax, 1 giant's tooth, 4 goblin's tooth, and a bamboo pipe. You're still armed with only your original sword, and have only 3 rations of 20 gold pieces and a spell book. The adventure continues in Sorcery 2. City Port of Traps, out now. Oh my gosh, guys, it's my cloud save. I'm gonna be sure to write that down. But thank you for watching. Not this week. Supposedly, depends. If I finish playing Neon White this week somehow, then I will go straight into Sorcery 2, I think. But if I don't finish playing Neon White, I'll do Sorcery 2 next week, and I'll announce it. But thank you for watching. I'm really enjoying it, and honestly, I really like it, even for it being the Choose Your Own Adventure. I think it's really fun, a lot of different options. So thank you everyone for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow at 10 with some Neon White. Bye bye.